Now, I understand that there are several different versions of The Thief and the Cobbler released, and that include the recallable version, the original version of the movie, and the version redone by Miramax Family Films. The version I am reviewing today is from the Miramax version, since I haven't seen the recallable version or the original version yet, and if I ever get around to watching either version of this film, I'll probably do a separate review on those versions. The Thief and the Cobbler probably had the most controversial movie release in movie history. For one thing, this movie was actually thought of during the 60s, but it didn't really get released until 1993, 1995 in the US, which makes it about 30 years before the film was actually released in theaters. And that is quite a long time for a movie to get officially released. So basically, this movie came out in 1993 and was directed by Richard Williams, the same director of Raggedy Ann and Andy's Musical Adventure. It also contains elements of Disney's classic film that premiered a year before called Aladdin. Now, before I get into what I liked and hated about this version of the film, I would like to give a brief summary on this movie. The film starts off with the cobbler, voiced by Matthew Broderick, telling the story about how he came to meet up with Princess Yum Yum, voiced by Jennifer Beals, and the thief, voiced by Jonathan Winters, and how he and Princess Yum Yum must save the kingdom of Baghdad from the evil forces of One Eye and his army, while avoiding the king's treacherous magician Zigzag, voiced by Vincent Price. Yeah, the movie's summary is pretty short, but that's pretty much the whole gist of the movie. Anyway, what I liked about this movie was the animation, the surreal landscapes brought into the film, and the characters. I really love the voice actors' work on the characters, and my favorites would have to be from Vincent Price's voice work of the evil magician Zigzag, and Jonathan Winters' voice work of the thief. Now, the part about Vincent Price voicing Zigzag did confuse me a bit because Vincent Price died before this film was actually released, so it was a bit awkward to hear his voice after he had died at the time. Now, they probably had done his voice work before he died and were able to incorporate it into the film, but it would have been less confusing to me if they had released the film a few months before he died so it wouldn't seem so awkward. Anyway, Vincent Price did a brilliant job at voicing Zigzag, and Zigzag sounds hilarious when he constantly rhymes in every sentence. And Vincent Price also did an excellent job of providing a sort of mischievous glee to Zigzag's character. Jonathan Winters' voice work of the thief was truly hilarious and classic. I love the way that Jonathan Winters told the thief's jokes and pop culture reference in a hip and hilarious way, and I was always trying to figure out what random thing the thief would have to say next. The movie's strongest point was the surreal characters and landscapes, as they gave the movie a surreal yet creative feel, especially during the infamous scene where Tack, the cobbler, chases the thief through the palace, and you can see lots of surreal imagery passing by the characters as they run through the palace. I also love the appearance of Zigzag, as he is unusually blue-colored skinned villain, and he is constantly grinning with his huge yellow teeth showing, which makes him both hilarious and menacing to look at. The characters were great, especially Zigzag and the Thief. Zigzag was quite an unusual villain, as he has the personality of a demented trickster, so it would have been hard to take his villainous ways very seriously. But he is also very cunning, as he was able to trick the king and the people when the golden balls were stolen. The thief was one of the most memorable characters in the entire film, as all the funny lines go to him, and he constantly breaks the fourth wall when he is telling the audience about all his thieving ways, while providing jokes and pop culture references for the audience to grasp on. The animation was just brilliantly done here, and it helped make the movie much more exciting to watch. Now, here are some problems I had with this film, and it's not really much, but just some things that annoy me about this film. For one thing, this film has a bit too much narration from one of the characters. Tack the Cobbler is the narrator of the story, and while there were some scenes that I didn't mind him narrating because with the movie's severe atmosphere, it would have been a bit difficult to understand the movie, there were other scenes that I felt didn't really need anyone to narrate. For example, there was a scene in the movie where Tack and Princess Yum Yum were going on the journey to receive advice from the evil One Eye sister, and Zigzag was going to meet up with the evil One Eye. In that scene, Tack, the narrator, practically told the audience that Zigzag was going to meet up with One Eye, even though there was a scene before that where Zigzag practically said he was going to meet One Eye. So why is there a need to repeat what one of the characters just said in the last scene? Because at this point, the audience already knows where Zigzag's going because he said in the last scene that he was going to meet One Eye. It's alright to have a narrator for a movie, especially for the kind of movie that has surreal storytelling. But when the narrator practically narrates every single detail that happens within the story, then it doesn't give the audience the element of surprise. Like how some scenes in this movie comes unexpectedly because we were never told that this scene would come. Another problem with this movie was that there wasn't enough character development with the main villain One Eye. One Eye is just basically shown as the villain who wants to take over Baghdad. And that's pretty much it. There's no backstory of about One Eye. I mean, Zigzag got more character development than One Eye, and the movie seems to focus more on Zigzag's deviousness than One Eye. So it begs the question about why Zigzag wasn't the main villain and One Eye was. Is it because of Zigzag's odd nature that the producers thought that the audience couldn't take him seriously? Possibly. But why have a villain who doesn't really add much to the story other than just being a threat to the main characters without any explanation? The Thief and the Cobbler was rated G, although the movie might be a bit too weird for smaller children. But other than that, it's pretty age appropriate if the smaller children can understand the pop culture references being littered throughout the film. Overall, I give The Thief and the Cobbler, the Miramax version, an 8.5 out of 10. Great work with the characters, and I love the surreal quality of the film, but they could have done a better job with developing the main villain One Eye and lessen the narration on the story a bit. Well, that's my movie review on The Thief and the Cobbler. And be sure to tune in next time as I review Steven Spielberg's second dinosaur film, We're Back, A Dinosaur Story. This is Rabbitearsblog, and I'll see you later.